YouTube, what's up? Don't ignore the signs. For example, in 2010, when I was still eating rocks, when I was still eating salt, I was pouring salt onto my meal and the shaker broke and it poured all onto my meal and ruined my meal and I couldn't eat, and I was angry about that, not having that meal. When in reality, I should have looked at it as like a blessing in a sense, because it was the sign telling me to stop eating rocks. And you gotta look at that in alchemy too. You gotta understand that the first disease is dehydration. Dehydration creates all the other lusts. It creates the first state of lack, which produces all the other states of lack. And nothing, the beast isn't gonna save itself. You're gonna have to dig a lot deeper than the flesh to try to save the flesh. The flesh, again, is the reflection. So it's like if you had a mirror, if you were looking at your cut and had a cut in the mirror, you're looking at it in the mirror, and you try to put a band-aid on the mirror where the cut is. That's never gonna work. It's never gonna work. That's the reflection. That's what you gotta realize, that it's starting and stemming from something much deeper. All your lust, again, I am that I am, no thought, nothing that you're envisioning, you're not getting away with it. You're not getting away with any bit of it, nothing. So you gotta realize that every lust that is fleeting or whatever, that you don't wanna identify with, it still came through you in your experience. And if you don't want it to come through you in your experience, and it's not complementary, then you must have a hole somewhere. You must be leaking energy somewhere. So you're feeding into something that keeps you ignorant. You're feeding into your own blinders. So, yeah, I mean, the distractions will always be there. So you're not missing anything. That's what you got to realize, that you're going to have to tap into something deeper than the reflection in order to save the reflection. I know it sounds wild to most people. They don't want to realize that they're looking at what is projecting them into existence. The pressures of what you observe are what pushed your body into existence. So you're always looking at yourself or your creator, what forced you and your avatar into existence. So, I mean, even if you're looking at the clouds are thoughts from the collective consciousness that if a thought festers enough, then it has to rain down and it has to be filtered through the earth. So, and again, you can look at everything as a part of you. It's the ocean being the subconscious and the emotions, the earth being the lust. It is the density, it's the illusion, it's the rock that we all stand on that doesn't really exist. It's a semi-solid, it's not really solid. But we all bought into the illusion that the earth, or even the crust itself, would just be our ancestors' bodies, decomposing and then recomposing into us. So we got to see everything as us, hear everything as if it's ourselves. And yeah, it's just all there, but it isn't. So when you get the signs, you just can't ignore them and you can't get angry at them. That's the last thing you want to do. Again, it's a waste of emotional energy. So anything that's stimulating your energy in that way, you got to ask, why? And it's usually, if the beast is getting mad, it's usually something that won't let this unstable beast exist. Something that will remind you that you are not this unstable beast that is calling the shots, I should say. So ROYALT512@yahoo.com for the PDFs. RBud Vegan on Amazon. Taylor Bud is the Facebook parasite. Jesus Christ 19 on IG. And yeah, so just realize that. Really see everything as you. There isn't one. And if you can see everything as you, then you can see the intensity from breath to breath. And the lack of intensity creates the missing of the moments. Not the missing of the moments. It's just you're going to get pieces of it. It's just like just investing in anything and not getting it all back in the way you invested it. Like if you spend $10 and then instead of getting $10 back, you get it back in $2 at a time. That's basically what's going on. Because just from not metabolizing life properly. Again, it's always the elements, you being the elements. If you're lacking fire, your blood pressure will show that. Everything being pressure, everything in life being pressure, whether it's peer pressure, everything, it's pressure. It's all pressure. So the pressure is the insistence. That's the will. all the angles of insistence or angles of God. You know, if we're talking about the 99 aspects of Allah, if we're Muslim, whatever your angle is, literally. So we're looking at it like that. We're looking at it like it's a pressure from self, from the source, going, you know, and you're insisting that it exists. And that's basically what we're all doing. That's basically what the collective consciousness has done in order to experience an illusion of separation. And we're basically in an organic cell, or at this point it's a malformed cell, I guess you could say. But it's a cell. And you know, that's what this is, what Earth is what is going on here. And you got if you look at the anatomy of a cell, you can really realize what's going on in Earth, and how you got parts of the cell that take parts of the, you know, information in and out of the cell. And that is, again, when we talk about information or DNA coding, it's no different from binary code. If you look at the I Ching and look at binary code, and then look at DNA, again, the hexagrams of the I Ching, see, this is stuff that people will have to look into for themselves. This is all just for clarity at another level of the same thing that's basic, because that's all we're really doing. The Tao Te Ching is basically taking the I Ching and making it more sophisticated in a sense, because it simplifies it. But if you really want to get into it for yourself and knowing in a different way, the I Ching, the hexagrams, binary code, it's all data. It's all, you know, we're really literally, we're buying ourselves. We got to realize that too. Like whenever we watch a documentary, again, it's you producing it. Even if you're on a plane, whatever it is, it's the will of you, and you're doing it. You're watching the will of you from a passive sense or from a first person sense. It's however you want to look at it. You know, you really is your choice, and you become a slave and a master. You take either position. But that is just delving into, you know, again, the duality of things. We got to realize that every thought and emotion is a spot on the tree of life, the Pautnatero, or the Kabbalah, whatever you want to call it. Because in the garden, you got the Kabbalah, or the trees of life. It's not just one. So you got the Pautnatero, the Kabbalah, the tree of life that we're all eating from. If you're thinking something, you're eating from the tree of life at some level. If you're feeling something, you're at a certain level or space, and you got to study the spaces between the spheres too, to understand that, to really realize it's a map of you, of your body. So again, you got the trees of life, and then you have the tree of good and evil, which is duality, which is compensation, right? The knowledge of good, that's worldly wisdom. That is someone finding out how to compensate. And then you observe the compensation, or you see compensation, and you only see a fragment of something that is already a fragment, and that creates more lust. You don't see what people exchange to even hold that position in life. If you can even follow me this far. Like, I don't want to get too long, but if you see someone compensating for the structure that they've created, there's a structure, of course. This beast structure is created. You're doing something, like if you're dehydrated, then you have to drink water to compensate. Watching someone drink water, you say, wow, you know how to get hydrated. Wow, that's amazing. It's the same thing, you know, and you see them get rehydrated, and you're like, wow, but that creates more need. Now you're going externally for things in that way. You're looking at things in an external way. That's just a basic level of compensation. Because if you get dehydrated and you drink the water erodes earth, so then that makes you hungry. And then you go through this whole cycle of needing digestive fire to break down the earth, and then you need air to compensate for that fire. And then it's just this constant compensation game. And then you see people being compensated literally monetarily in different ways, and you see that fragment, which is a fragment of a fragment, and you get envious of that, and you don't, because you're not looking at the whole. You're looking at a piece of something, a piece of binary code, instead of just the 1 and the 0, or however you want to look at it, the 0 and the 1, whatever. So I'm going to leave it at 10 minutes and just leave it at that.